Amanda with StraightSmile Solutions, StraightSmileSolutions.com, and today we're going to talk about purchasing your first set of direct bond brackets. And I know this can get super confusing and overwhelming, and it's even confusing for me sometimes, and I know how to order brackets. So I don't know why they make it so incredibly complicated. And tomorrow, if you're listening to this today, which is May 11th, tomorrow I'm going to post something even better and more helpful. So this is just a warm up. So make sure, if you haven't subscribed to our channel, little pitch, please subscribe to our channel. We really, really appreciate it. And of course, share the love. Share our channel with any other dentists or orthodontists or even consumers who are interested in orthodontics. Anyways, so here's how you order direct bonding brackets. Of course, I'm going to give you my spiel, which is you should not even be doing direct bonding unless you've done hundreds, if not thousands, of indirect bonding cases. If you are a general or pediatric dentist. Of course, if you're an orthodontist, go for it. But you wouldn't be listening to my videos probably anyways if you're an orthodontist. So you will just waste your time. You will spin your wheels. Your cases will take way longer. You will get very frustrated unless you have a coach to help verify your placement. But to be really honest, it's just still way more accurate to do indirect bonding. Let the computer place it, approve the placement ahead of time on the computer. Then your team members in most states or countries can deliver the trays and the brackets because you've already digitally approved the bracket placement. Of course, you are under usually direct supervision. You're right next to the patient. Maybe you're doing something else on another patient, but it frees up your time so that you don't have to be available at that exact moment, because it even takes me about 10, 20 minutes if I'm working with an assistant to place brackets. That's a lot of chair time. I would rather do that on a computer. Even a lot of orthodontists do indirect bonding even because it frees up their time, because all patients usually want to come in at certain types of hours, and you can't possibly do 3 direct bonding patients at one time. You can't be in 3 places at one time, right? So it just allows you to do more starts at more flexible times. Because in the olden days before indirect bonding, we would have to have our starts come in the mornings so that they wouldn't all come in the afternoons and the rest of our patients came in. And now you don't have to do that. Anyways, okay, so I kind of cut and pasted some of the prescriptions this was Ortho technology, but every major ortho distributor in every major country has their own types of brackets, right? And they're all kind of pretty much the same. And tomorrow, when I post that video on May 12th, we'll go way more into the weeds, yeah. But this will just be a couple things to help you learn to interpret and read it. So they all have their own brands, right? And of course, there says TM next to the brands. So they just name it whatever they want. Sally, Susie, Joe, Don't worry about that. You just want to keep like with like, right? So these ones really just keep the shapes about the same. It's really not that important. The important part is this, the numbers. So there's either going to be 018 or 022 slot size. It's just the gauge. So it's a super small discrepancy, but it's a big difference in how teeth move. You need to keep things consistent. If you're already doing 022, you should do 022. If you're already doing 018, do 018. And you shouldn't be doing direct bonding unless you're already done hundreds of cases, like I said. So whatever you're already doing for your indirect bonding, just do the same thing, because the technique is completely different. If I come into an office, initially I was trained, I'm trying to remember how I was trained. Initially I was trained on 018 in residency, I'm pretty sure. And then No, I think I was trained on 022. And then I went into an office that did 018. So I had to really change that. It totally changes the way what wires you pick, the mechanics, when you can do certain things. And then I went to 022 again. My personal preference for me is 018, but I think it's harder to use. And your team needs to be a little more specialized. So there's a little more forgiveness with 022. So I really don't think general dentists should do 018. I think you should do 022. And as far as I know, all the indirect bonding companies that I know that are out there, and I'm not going to mention them, the ones I work with, the ones I worked with in the past, I believe they're all 022. But it's a good question to ask your indirect bonding company. Keep it consistent. It has to be consistent. This M or this R means MBT or Roth. MBT is, it's 3 people's names. I can't remember what it is. Shoot, I should know that. But something Bennett, something McLaughlin, Bennett, and somebody, I think, if I remember correctly. But anyways, MBT is M. It might say MBT, it might say M. If you're not sure, call and ask what it stands for, because what if it means something else, right? You need to be consistent. As far as what's out there for existing indirect bonding, I'd say half are MBT, half are Roth. They're pretty similar. I could not even tell the difference if you showed me a case. I don't know if that's, I can't tell you if it's Roth or MBT, but they both work great for me. I don't care. I like them both. It looks great to me. If it's anything else besides M or R or MBT or Roth, don't do it, because these are the two most common prescriptions that are out there. There are like hundreds, if not thousands of prescriptions. Every orthodontist and their mama likes to come up with their own prescription, right? Because then they can monetize it. They think that, add a little bit, 2 more degrees torque on tooth number 6, or something like that. And that's what makes my bracket, prescription unique. And then they monetize it and they make it proprietary and they patent it. No, just stick with the main ones. M or R, MBT or Roth. Those are the main two. Why do you want to stick with the main ones? Well, first of all, if and when your patient needs to transfer, it's going to be a lot easier. And it helps you accept more transfers coming in. So when a patient comes in, on the flip side, you need to find out what prescription they're using. If it doesn't match yours, bye, you take the brackets off and you have to re-bracket. A lot of patients don't like that. So if you take a more common prescription like 022 Roth, 022 MBT, you'll be able to accept more transfers, assuming you like their bracket positioning. And if it exactly matches your prescription, then if something is off, you can just pop it off. Even if it's a different brand from a different company, as long as it's still 022 MBT, you should be fine. So that makes sense. So that's why I recommend that. All right. So what does this mean? 5 to 5, 5 to 5, 5 to 5, 5 to 5. I recommend buying your brackets in sets. So that's usually called a SPK or a single patient kit. That's how some people call it. Some people just call it a set. It'll come in like a tray. Usually it's just 5 to 5. So remember, 5 to 5 is ortho terms. Front 10 teeth, right? 5 on one side, 5 on the other, which will be premolar to premolar. For in American version, that's tooth number 4 to tooth number 13. And on the bottom, that's tooth number 20 to tooth number 29, right? In international terms, it's 5 to 5. You guys get that more than we do. You still have to get the tubes for your molars, definitely for your first molars. Maybe want to have a few for your second molars just in case. I have a whole separate video on that. I don't have the link right now, but it's in my videos. You can search in my channel under molar tubes and it should come up. Anytime I mention a video that I have, if you can't find it, just email me, info@straightsmilesolutions.com, or send me a website message at straightsmilesolutions.com, and I'll be glad to send you that video. Easy. Okay, so that's what 5 to 5 means. You still need your molar tubes as well. Those are not usually going to come in your kit because that's a whole nother selection process, and I have a video that goes over that already. Okay, so remember, SPK means single patient kit. Don't buy your brackets individually. It is going to be an absolute nightmare for inventory, because if you start mixing and matching your brackets and flipping them around and having them go in the wrong slot, you're going to have a terrible outcome. So better to keep them in the kit, right? Sometimes you have to break a kit, like if someone breaks a bracket and loses it and you can't place it, you'll have to break a kit. So usually I have a broken set or kit that's, I write on it like replacement or broken sets for when somebody loses one that we've already, but everything else stays as a whole set. Or sometimes you have a patient where a tooth isn't fully erupted. Let's say tooth number 11 isn't fully erupted, so you don't want to bracket it yet, so you're going to have leftovers. Well, then you can just fill a patient kit. Otherwise, leave it in the patient kit that's, still got some stragglers, and just leave it there where it belongs, because I can tell you once you get it out of its slot, I can kind of tell what's a canine and I can tell what's a premolar, but I get like upper left premolars confused with lower right premolars. They pretty much look the same, but they don't act the same. So you don't want to be flipping those around. Okay, what else? Last thing you need to know is HKS. So HKS means hooks. So you don't want this because this has no hooks. All this is just brackets, no hooks. Yeah, in a perfect world, if you never ever use elastics, you don't need hooks, right? But even if it's a class 1 case, you might decide you want some triangle elastics or some box elastics. So I would recommend having hooks. I don't really care. Because I can put on a Kobe hook if I need to, so it's not a big deal. If I have a preference, I'm going to go with hooks 3, 4, 5, which means we have hooks on the canines and all the premolars. Is the price difference? Not really. It's not that much of a price difference. It is one more thing that annoys the patient. They got to put wax on it for the first week, but it's nice not to have to add Kobe hooks. So that would be my preference. But if I didn't have that, then I'd go with hooks 3, which is hooks on the canines. And you're still going to have hooks on your molar tubes. So that just means you don't have hooks on your 4s and your 5s, but that's not a huge deal because you don't need hooks on 4s and 5s to do box elastics. Usually my triangles, yeah, that's true. If I'm going to do a triangle, I'm going to need a hook on lower 4s. So yeah, I'd prefer to have hooks 3, 4, 5. So this would be obviously my first choice here. What is the difference between, say, this and this? Well, these are just different shapes of the brackets. And of course, that goes into the whole, do you want metal? Do you want silver? Do you want clear? Do you want plastic? And we're going to talk more about that tomorrow. All right, thanks so much. Hopefully that was helpful.